Getting beat up by 9 guys in Syracuse, to me, there's not a whole lot of shame in it.
This is the Heel to the Face podcast with your hosts, Jared Wicks and Brandon Icebreaker Clements. Tweet us using the handle at Heel to the Face.
Woo! 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 Woo!
The bell is rung, so let's step in the ring with your hosts, Brandon and Jared.
Let's move the mic over there and get this show started. This is the Heel to the Face podcast. That's Brandon Icebreaker Clements. You can find him on Twitter at Icebreaker21. I'm Jared Wicks. You can find me now on Twitter at KRockJared because we have KRock in this studio.
He's official now. He's doing a KRock
I've been working
style.
I've been doing it for a while. I just I didn't feel like changing it.
Well, I'm glad you did. You're part of the KRock family over there. You got to put KRock somewhere in there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I didn't do it.
It took you long enough.
I think the main reason was if you haven't noticed, I've been kind of removed from social media in general.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
So that's why now that I'm back full time, ready to go, KRock Jared, that's where you can find me. Most importantly, follow the program at Heel to the Face. That's where you get all the information you need to know about this show, Twitter question of the weeks. Sometimes I like to put out our tweets of the week. Anything else that I find pertinent. Most importantly, the links to the show, both YouTube and podcast. So you want to listen in the car or watch at home, you can find all the links on Twitter. So most importantly, let's get this show underway for this week.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
With a 20-minute
It's still fitting we have the Roman Reigns music underneath that because that is really going to lead off and pretty much dominate the show.
Yes, that is absolutely going to dominate the show. It's caught me off guard. I was very surprised with the announcement. I did see on the internet.
Did you see anywhere that that was coming?
I didn't see the leukemia part. No, it said Roman Reigns injured with a question mark. I was looking around, so I was doing some research, and I'm like, all right, so what's going on? I got home a little late on Monday, so I didn't get to watch the show right away. And thankfully I DVR'd this because it was. I mean, my wife watches wrestling, but she's not a aficionado like we are.
Yes.
And she's like, you gonna put it on? I'm like, yeah, let me check it out. So I put it on. Roman Reigns comes out, and he's not wearing his normal gear. And I'm like, oh, shoot, something's coming up. I knew something was going on. I didn't think it was going to be to that extent. I figured, okay, maybe he suffered an injury. He's got to relinquish the title. He's going to have surgery, be out like Dean Ambrose was for months. The leukemia, I did not see that coming. I was very normally I know I kind of have a feeling of what's going to happen before it happens because you see things leaked, you kind of read enough. Yeah. Social media. He didn't leak it to anybody. I'm
curious of when he got the diagnosis.
I think he got the diagnosis. And, I mean, this is all speculation.
And I'm curious so I'm not familiar with it. Maybe you can help me. How would you go about it? Like, how do you know? It's not something like you have a stomach ache.
Well, here's the thing. Roman Reigns came out and said that during his I think it was his college days or late, after his college days, 11 years ago. So it might have been just after college. He was diagnosed before.
Yes.
So I think for him, in this case, it was a second time around, so he knew ahead of time what the signs were, and I think he always had it in the back of his mind, and he probably noticed something wasn't right, and he went to the doctors like you're supposed to. If something doesn't feel like your normal self, he did the right thing. He went to the doctors because hopefully, our prayers go out to him, of course. I hope he caught it early enough. The tough thing I worry about, though, is the second time it happens is usually a stronger form. Mm-hmm. I'm not a doctor by any means, but everybody I've talked to, that I know that are medical folks, they've said usually the second batch is usually is worse than the first. I mean, he said he kicked the crap out of the first. I mean, he even came out in the air and he said, I kicked its ass. And he's like, I plan on kicking it in the ass again. I'm just hoping he caught it early enough where he's getting the treatment he needs and he can get a full recovery and he can resume his WWE career. I mean, at the very worst, if he can't resume his WWE career, I want him to be able to enjoy time with his family. That's, and live healthy after that. That's all I care
think
about.
It was a shock. I did not know where that was going. Up until it became real, then I had no idea. I mean, even when he's talking, I'm going, where's he, what kind of promo is this? I mean, because here's the thing. Roman Reigns kicking off the show is not anything new.
No, it happens. But here's the thing, though. The difference is, though, he was in street clothes. That's what I know. I know. Like I noticed.
See, I didn't
notice.
Those are the things you notice after. I didn't notice at the time.
Oh, so you didn't? I noticed.
No.
I said to my wife, I turned because we're sitting there watching on the couch, and I turned.
And I promise you, the whole time I was watching Sixth Sense, I was like, didn't he die? I'm confused. So I noticed that, but
I will say this
in this certain stance, I guess I didn't. And when he even said my real name's Joe, I just thought this was like an angle he's going at, like, promo wise.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from with it. To me, I was gung ho. Like I read about it on the Bleacher Reports of the world, all the different you're familiar with a lot of this the internet wrestling community stuff that usually breaks things before they're out there. I saw the first place I saw it was on Bleacher Report, so credit to them, for kind of not breaking that part of the news.
Like after you saw Raw.
It was like before the show. I knew I was looking because I get my WWE updates. On Bleacher Report's one of the places I go to. I look at other places as well, but WWE's on the Bleacher Report on WWE is great. I was looking at it and it said Roman injured with a question mark, and it didn't really go into much detail. But once I knew that and I saw him in street clothes, I'm like, okay. In my head, I'm thinking, okay, maybe he did something to his shoulder, his knee, and he's going to require surgery. And he's got to give up the title, kind of like Finn Balor did.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. That's the honest to God truth. That's what I was thinking. Though when he said leukemia, I was like, "Oh, you got to be freaking kidding me!" I couldn't. I didn't even know what to say. I feel so bad because, this guy's in the peak of his career. He's worked his ass off to get this title back, and he has the title, and he has to give it up, and now he has to fight for his life. I'm pulling real hard for him. I know we both are. I mean. I'm a more of a Roman Reigns fan than you are, but but Joe, his name is Joe. You're supporting Joe, and you're saying Joe kick the crap out of this disease.
Well, it's not that I'm not
you're not.
When you watch wrestling, here's the thing: wrestling fans. I guess real wrestling fans don't have teams. You don't really. I mean,
well,
it's a movie.
I would say kind of.
Yes, kind of.
Like I'm like Team DX.
But I've never been like, in other sports, you really want that person to lose because you want them to go away. I've never watched the Royal Rumble and been like, I want them to lose because I don't want to see them out there anymore. That kind of thing. I've never really cared one way or the other if somebody won or lost in professional wrestling, especially if the match was entertaining. You care a little bit. But it's a much different. It's a movie. It's a TV show. You root for certain outcomes, but it's not the same as traditional sports. For example, I watch football. I watch one team. Wrestling's not like that. Wrestling. I mean, there's a lot of people who treat the NFL like wrestling, where they watch every team and they're interested in winning every game. Me, sports. I'm interested in that team, soul and soul through. I'm not interested in just Triple H. When Triple H goes away, I continue to watch wrestling.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I will say this. I'm a fan of the sport of WWE as a whole. Roman Reigns is one of the guys I'm a big fan of. I mean, and I've talked about it before. I always say, I'm a big fan of Roman Reigns. I've said it on previous shows. I've always liked the Shield. I mean, I've always liked Ambrose. I've liked Rollins. I like all three of those guys. I mean, those guys have a special place for me as a fan because what they've done for the business in the last 6 years since they've been in, I've really enjoyed it. And guys like that, and then when you see the nostalgia of like Triple H and Shawn Michaels, guys like that, I'm like, man, cool, it's good to see them. I mean, I don't have a lot of. I mean, I love wrestling as a whole, but there's only a handful of guys where I'm like, if I know they're on, I'm watching. Like AJ Styles is one of those too.
I mean, there's definitely people you like more than others, but I'm a WWE fan more than anything. I bought tickets to WrestleMania. Roman Reigns main evented the last 3 WrestleManias. I was at all those WrestleManias. Never once was I like, oh, Roman Reigns in the main event. I mean, I would do that with sports if I'm watching the the World Series or college basketball. If my team's not in it, I'm not really gonna. I'm not going to spend hundreds of dollars to go.
Let me ask you this then. Let me just pose this to you. Like, I'll use AJ Styles as an example because you and I are both on the same page. We're fans of AJ Styles.
Yes.
If AJ Styles is in a match, like they tease it on SmackDown or Raw,
it's definitely like if I'm watching SmackDown.
Unless it's a jobber, unless it's going to be like versus like James Ellsworth. No offense to him, but if it's a halfway decent wrestler, I'm watching it.
Yeah, I mean, Raw's a good example of that. I tune out probably in the middle of the show because I tune back into the main event for somebody specific I want to see.
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And Roman Reigns would be one of them. It's not so much specific people, it's main eventers in general.
Yeah, that's true. I will tell you this, watching Raw this past week, do you think it was good timing for Dean Ambrose to turn?
So I have a friend who is older, so he's not, young and hip, but he's older. He's been watching wrestling just as long as we have, and he said he felt like it was in bad taste. Now, I'm going to sound evil here. I liked it, and why I liked it is just because it felt real, and because you took a storyline that you knew was going a certain place. It would be like, we know John Cena's in the Royal Rumble. We know it. They've already pretty much made it that John Cena's in the Royal Rumble. And then John Cena's music hits at the Royal Rumble, and you're shocked. They did that. We knew Dean Ambrose was turning. They were doing this turning thing. So for them to find a way that we all saw it coming, and yet still didn't see it coming.
I would say this.
Just felt, I won't lie, I love that Michael Cole line when he was like, not tonight, not tonight.
Yeah, I will say this. I
kind of like that.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I get what your friend, one of our fellow WWE Universe members, a friend of yours. I see where he's coming from, but Roman Reigns, one way or the other, he doesn't. He's all about WWE having the best product anyway. So at the end of the day, it's it's business. So my thing was, it caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was surprised. I knew it was coming. I didn't know it was gonna happen that night. I figured, okay, they're gonna win the championships, and they're gonna salute Roman, all that. They win. They did win, which I was right on that, but I didn't expect that turn so quickly. It was like Roman Reigns 2 hours, 2.5 hours before, 2.5 hours before it was saying, hey, I gotta take a leave of absence. I gotta go battle this, and then it's bookends. Roman Reigns does that at the beginning of the show and says, yeah, I gotta take some time out. At the end of the show, you see by the end of it, Dean Ambrose
made it a very memorable Raw.
It was a good Raw. I enjoyed from start to finish. I thought it was a pretty good Raw.
I don't know if from start to finish. I never think any Raw is really that great from start to finish. But I feel like it was a good Raw because it bookended, and that's pretty much how I watch Raw. I won't lie, I was watching Monday Night Football. My New York Giants were playing.
You know what I like though?
It bookended pretty well.
I will say this. You know what I like too? Like they incorporated him a lot, Roman Reigns, in the program. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that like Braun Strowman's like, yeah, we have our differences, but as soon as I kick Brock's ass and you're back and you're ready to go, you're next up. Like that was cool. Like. And I don't know if you saw the backstage video of.
I did.
It was great. By the way, it was. They're entertainers. They're athletes. They put on a show. And I will say this: some of your biggest enemies, like the guys that you can't stand. As we watch the show, if you go backstage, they're probably best friends. A lot of times that is.
Well, because you're working together.
Yeah, here's the thing: not everybody gets along with everybody. We get that. We've heard stories about it over the years. But to see how loved Roman Reigns is in the locker room, it just shows you the kind of guy he is. He really is a family man. He really is. He busts his ass for his family. I think
for the most part, WWE especially, first off, he's like a face. Second off, he's a guy that they're putting near the top. I don't think that, Roman Reigns is the current, I want to say he's The Rock or Stone Cold. He's not like those. He's the current John Cena-ish.
Ish, yeah. I would say ish, yeah.
Because he has... I don't feel like, no, why would anybody in the back? I never got that vibe from him. I get that vibe from Randy Orton. I don't get that vibe from him.
Oh, Randy Orton for sure.
Because we've heard the stories.
We've heard, many stories over the last, 15 years he's been in the business? Yeah. 15 plus years. Yeah, he's been in the business a long time. Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about that. And, interactions with fans. I will say this. One of the incidents I remember pretty well, it was within the last couple years, I think it was within the last 2 years since we've been doing the show, a fan came up to him while he was working out and he got ticked off about it. I get that part of it. Like as a fan, like this is what you do. If say you're at your local gym and you're working out and you see Randy Orton working out, leave the guy the hell alone, let him work out. And then, if he doesn't look like he's, if he looks like he's focused, leave him the hell alone. Wait till he's done with his workout. And, if you're still waiting around, maybe you say, hey, Randy, can I take a picture with you? Like, I think Randy would be more receptive to that than like, dude, he's probably hitting the weights like really hard. He's probably in his zone, and you just took him out of his zone. I get it because that's how working out is. Like when I work out, I want I want to just focus, zone in, and do what I got to do. I don't want distractions. So I could see why in that example why Randy maybe reacted the way he did. I'm not condoning it by any means, but I could understand that because I working out as much as I have over the years, I have my music on, I put my headphones on, I just do my thing. Like, leave me alone for an hour, let me do my thing. So, but overall, I mean, I've heard a lot of stories. Randy Orton's gotten more chances than any WWE superstar that I can remember. Like if it was anybody else, if it was like Carlito, even the first time Randy Orton had any of his issues, Carlito's gone, so to speak. Randy Orton's
I even have to say, kind of piggybacking off that, I still have a hard time with how they treated Titus O'Neil because of pulling on Vince McMahon like 3 years ago.
That was ridiculous, by the way. To me, that was insane.
I mean, you look at it then and you look at it now, and he is like the biggest ambassador for the company.
That's all he really is at this point. I mean, he can wrestle once in a while, but
that's what I'm saying. For like them to suspend him,
stupid.
For doing that, despite the fact that his reputation is like probably the most pristine in that locker room.
Oh yeah, everybody loves Titus. Titus is one of those guys.
Like, he's at every Make-A-Wish, every bully campaign. So for them to do that, it just was like...
I will say this. I mean, the Titus O'Neil, he is what he is in the ring. We get that. He's a big bruiser. He does his thing. You're not going to see him win any championships anytime soon. But what he brings to the WWE, from, a PR perspective, he's the perfect guy for PR. Like, he's a family man. He like you said, he goes to all these different, charity events. Like, Titus O'Neil is a man's man. Like, a lot of people should strive to be more like Titus O'Neil. I'm serious about that. He just seems like he seems like a very likable guy, and everything I've ever heard about Titus, like with fan interactions, that he's super cool. Like, if you come up to him and you say, "Hey, can I take a picture?" He's usually 9 times out of 10 he's probably gonna say, "Yeah, man, I got you." I'm not expecting every wrestler to be like that. As some people are what they are. Like, a lot of people say, Dean Ambrose might not be the most approachable guy, but from what I've heard, Dean Ambrose is more of a, not to say like a loner. I'm not saying it in a bad way, but Dean likes to just do his own thing. Doesn't make him a bad person. That's just how he is. Doesn't make him a rude person, but he's not going to put himself out there maybe like a Titus O'Neil does.
So on Raw, I felt that Paul Heyman, he did that promo about Roman Reigns. I felt maybe he should have saved his promo for Braun Strowman to like next week, just because it sounded so funny, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
That he does what he says about Roman Reigns, and then as soon as he started talking about Braun Strowman, the person I was watching Raw with, I pretty much was like, he just went from like real to fake. Real, like, and it seemed extra fake because those are the same exact words he would say to Roman Reigns, like before SummerSlam, before WrestleMania. So for him to be like saying those exact things, for him to be like, Brock Lesnar is gonna make your wife a widow, and you better hope to God. So, and it's funny because a lot of the stuff he was saying about Roman Reigns seemed very much, I guess Paul Heyman doesn't know how to talk differently. Seemed like a promo when he was like,
"Oh, I know.
Roman Reigns is one of those genuine guys in the back," and it sounded like that's exactly what he said before he took on Brock Lesnar, because he'd be like, Roman Reigns is a genuine guy. He's a nice guy. He's a lovable guy. And that's why he's going to get his ass kicked at SummerSlam.
That's typical. I was going to say,
that's
typical.
Paul Heyman, right? So for him to like say what he said about Roman Reigns, but to not have like the part where you're like, but where does this come in about how this is going to be, so ineffective, I guess is the best way. Or to Roman Reigns' disadvantage. He's too likable. He's too nice. He's too much of a wonderful guy. That's why he can't beat Brock Lesnar. But for it to be a real promo, and then to pretty much just move right on the Braun Strowman and then be like, but Brock Lesnar's going to kick your ass. You're like, it just seemed too fake. It seemed like you can't go from one to the other just like that. It just seemed too forced.
Yeah, it was kind of awkward. I would have preferred to see
maybe him wait till next week.
Yeah,
like be the real Paul Heyman this week, then go back, and then come back next week.
But
with the promo.
I really appreciated what Braun said. That was cool. Kind of putting the real, like he was sort of doing his normal thing, but then he was also like
it felt a lot like Over the Edge. I don't know, so I've seen Over the Edge a few times. Over the Edge '99 when Owen Hart died, and it felt a lot like that, where these people were like in a real situation, but at the same time like still trying to keep the show going. Like, for example, like Jerry Lawler would have just announced that Owen Hart passed away, and then 5 minutes later was like, puppies, like it just seemed like so forced. And same with like Jeff Jarrett in the back is like, I'm going to kick D'Lo Brown's ass tonight, you're like, you just don't have it behind you.
Yeah, no, I here. Let me ask you this: from start to finish, I mean, what were your takes on Raw? I know we touched on the front of the beginning.
I don't know how to say from start to finish because I didn't even really watch from start to finish. Okay. I watched the start.
Did you watch? Did you at least watch Triple H and Shawn Michaels?
Yes. So overall, it was a good Raw. I feel like in Providence, Rhode Island, they got to see an above-average Raw.
Yeah, it was definitely. It was one of the better Raws I've seen in a while, honestly.
I mean, much better than SmackDown, which viewership dropped this week on SmackDown. So much so, like we're not even talking about it this week.
Yeah, I was gonna say SmackDown. I mean, if you're looking for the results, I will just say this: the only thing that you need to talk about is, let's see, Miz and Rey Mysterio. They were on Miz TV together. Obviously, that was Rey Mysterio was the guest, and then they had a match and Rey won.
Yep,
that's pretty much what.
Rey Mysterio and Big Show are back in WWE. It seems like more on a full-time basis than I thought they were going to be.
I know it's a very strange, and we have Evolution coming right up here.
Evolution coming right up. But before we get to that, let's get to our Twitter question of the week. Without further ado, we're just going to get right into it. So that segment's done. Twitter question of the week is up. You can find that every week on Heel to the Face. I normally post it Monday or Tuesday. And it's a weird question because I posted it before the breakup of the Shield, essentially at the end.
Yeah.
But still kind of relevant because, let's face it, they're currently the tag team champions. And there's going to be a day.
How is this going to work, by the way?
And that's why it was even more interesting that it happened that way.
I know. What is that? Are they going to relinquish the titles?
I mean, I don't think so. That's why I think that's part of the interest in here, the intrigue.
Do you think this is a full heel turn? Do you think it's going to be like a back and forth where Seth kicks the crap out of him and then they're like, all right, we're brothers again? You don't see anything like that, do you?
Well, the question is if that does happen, or more importantly, they're just going to eventually get back together. Maybe next year, maybe in 6 months. I mean, nothing ever stays permanent in WWE.
No, well, yeah.
So my question is if Roman Reigns never comes back, will the Shield never being called the Shield again stay permanent? Or will they?
When you word it that way, I would say no.
You don't think you'll ever hear the word the Shield again put on anybody?
No.
I say yes, and here's why.
Why? Why would you
Dean
do
Ambrose
that?
was gone, and they threw Kurt Angle in there, and they made the Shield back again.
Yeah, but that was more of a one-off, though. It's not. Here's the thing, though. And I'm not putting Dean or Seth in a different point, level as Roman. Roman to me is the Shield. When I think of that,
I feel WWE would put it back. Would find a way as long as they have two members. Because look what they do with DX. Look what they did with NWO.
So you know what we should do? Just bring the original idea. Since Roman Reigns is out of the picture, bring in Cassius Ohno. That was the original plan.
It was?
Yeah, Cassius Ohno was the original plan for the Shield. It was going to be Dean, Seth, Cassius Ohno instead of Roman Reigns. And
it would have been a much different Shield because Cassius Ohno is more like a mix between Dean and Seth.
Yeah, I mean Cassius. Yeah, that was, and I guess upper management nixed it, and because Roman Reigns is a Triple H guy. So that was on. So that was on one of the that was on one of the podcasts. I think it was Bruce Pritchard that said that.
So you're probably right. And now that you mention it, I remember there was.
I think that
another plan, I guess, for the Shield.
Because that was like CM Punk. CM Punk came up with the idea.
So the question I guess I have is this, and that's you don't see the Shield again. I mean, 80% say no. I say yes. And when Roman was gone, I kind of immediately thought Braun Strowman.
No, I don't see it. Here's my thing. The Shield.
I see them wanting to sell T-shirts. I'm not saying today, but I'm saying sometime again.
They sell enough T-shirts of get these hands.
I'm not saying with Braun Strowman. I'm just saying Shield-wise. I feel that they don't want this to just be dead entirely. You look at all the people that have come and gone in DX. Look at all the people that have come and gone in NWO.
True.
They reform these factions all the time. The one that they didn't because they think it broke up too much so was like Evolution. I mean, that's those guys. But even so, they were still Evolution when Randy Orton left and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, some groups you just don't want to tamper with. I mean, DX. I mean, is DX really DX without the whole crew? Like I know,
it's not, but they still put it out there, and they're still going to put it out there again. It's not even It's not even a edgy Shawn Michaels.
Like I know. I mean, I know. Obviously, China's not with us anymore. But can't you bring back X-Pac, Road Dogg, and Billy Gunn?
Well, I mean, Road Dogg's still there.
Well, Road Dogg's a producer. I'm saying like bring him, bring the whole DX crew together.
I know, but I know what you're saying.
That's to me. I'm not going to say anything bad because I really, I love DX, but it's, growing up with the whole crew, even with China and everything, that's DX to me. It's not Shawn and Triple H.
And obviously this won't be the Shield either.
At that point, why don't we just make a new Nation of Domination then? Or do we already have that and that's called the New Day? Sort of.
I don't know if that's exactly the Nation of Domination was a little more edgy than the New Day.
Here's the thing. I think if you want to speaking of that, if you want to keep New Day fresh, they need to stop being soft as baby poop, so to speak. So I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you put.
Yeah, they are soft.
They are soft. And my thing is, with a bruiser like Big E, you have two other great super. I mean,
Big E leading the Shield.
No, the Shield. Right. I don't think the Shield's going anywhere. I mean, honestly though,
that should have been the better question. If the Shield remains, who is the more formidable replacement for Roman Reigns?
All right, let me ask you this then.
Drew McIntyre?
Who do you think it is? I think it'd be Drew McIntyre.
Yeah. I think that's a real.
That would be the. If I had to pick somebody off off the top of my head, I'd say Drew.
Bring back Big Cass.
Big Cass will never be back in WWE. I don't think so.
He'll be back before Enzo Amore, probably, right?
No, I think Enzo will be back before.
Really?
You know why? Enzo sells.
That's true.
Enzo sells. I mean, that's the thing. Enzo's a good mouthpiece, and look at all the little kids that were wearing that T-shirt and the hair and everything.
I did get to see Cass as like one night back in WWE at Backlash. I guess that's a highlight. When I watched Backlash, I didn't think it was a highlight to be a Backlash, but I guess it is now. Let
me ask you this: Do you see them ever coming back, Enzo and Cass? Not to get too far off, but
no.
I don't think so either. Now I have to ask you one last question. Speaking of tag teams, your thoughts on our boy Drake Maverick and the Authors of Pain. What do you think? I don't think it's
money, but it's not horrible so far.
I think it's decent. I think adding Drake Maverick to it, I think has a potential of making some money.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's decent. That's not horrible so far.
Yeah,
I liked it better the other way though.
Oh, with Paul.
And I'd like it better with if they got rid of Paul and they had a better mouthpiece, maybe Paul Heyman.
Speaking of these groups, where are my boys at Sanity at? What the heck's going on?
I know that's a good question. Where's Sanity been?
Yeah, where's Sanity been? Is somebody must have gotten hurt.
So let's move on to tweets of the week. What is your tweet of the week?
All right. So actually, I had a couple tweets that I was thinking about. It was one of them was like Roman Reigns thanking everybody for for everything. My other tweet is, you can't really see it here. I'll just kind of show you. It's the Usos on SmackDown last night on Tuesday. And it says Usos paying tribute to Roman. And when they were doing the splash off the top rope,
he did the Superman punch.
He did the Superman punch in the air. That was cool. I thought that was a cool little salute. I think, because they're super close. They're family, literally. They're blood. So it was, I didn't catch it until afterwards. I'm like, oh, it was just so quick because I watched the show and I'm like, oh, he did the Superman punch. That is, that's a cool little tip to the cap to their oos.
So I would say I'm gonna do two tweets of the week, but they're the same thing. One is from Madison Square Garden. Everyone probably saw this, but Madison Square Garden put on their marquee this week, "Get well soon, Roman Reigns," and a picture of Roman Reigns on the marquee because WWE, Madison Square Garden is their home. I wish they would treat it more like that. I feel like they haven't done that in many years. They've been only going for house shows and crap. But either way, you can't deny the history the WWE has there. And they showed it with Roman Reigns, just by himself. But I'm going to have another tweet of the week. And that was, and this kind of shows, so Jim Gaffigan used to always do a bit on McDonald's about how everyone, I don't go to McDonald's anymore. That's for kids. Like, who goes to McDonald's? But yet, they make $1 trillion a year.
Yes.
The lines are always really long.
So
but yet, nobody is like talking about how they just go to McDonald's all the time.
People still do.
Wrestling is just like that. Everyone's always like, who watches wrestling? You still watch wrestling? Well, everyone says that, but it's funny. You're like, well, according to the Nielsen ratings, more people watch wrestling than Monday Night Football. So I think somebody's lying.
Yeah, somebody's full of malarkey.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
So with that being, and here was a good example. The Canadian Football League and the Edmonton Eskimos, within like minutes of Roman Reigns making his announcement, put out a picture of Roman Reigns in his uniform, saying, we wish recovery for our former Edmonton Eskimo.
That's cool. I like that. Well done.
But it kind of just showed me that somebody who runs the Edmonton Eskimos Twitter account, you know what I mean? I don't think they got word. They were probably watching because it was minutes later.
Yeah, it was.
So it's like you're watching wrestling. So it's like people that like, oh, football. I run a football account. I'm probably watching Monday Night Football, and you find out, no, they were watching Raw.
It's, you know what, though, and that's the thing, too. There's a lot of people, not to say this in a bad way, there's probably a lot of, like you said, to your point, I think there's a lot of closet wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Where they like, for some reason, they don't want to let the
You
world
can go
know.
to work and talk about Monday Night Football. That's fine. You can go to work and talk about basketball. That's fine. But you find out that the more people watch wrestling than, let's say, Monday Night Football that week, you know, like Monday Night Football sometimes Raw beats Monday Night Football in the ratings. So you're like, well, somebody's lying because it's funny. You can go to work and talk about Monday Night Football, but according to the ratings, more people were watching wrestling, but I can't go to work and talk about wrestling because who watches wrestling anymore?
I will say this, and you know, you're a Giants fan, and for the NFL, I'm a Cowboys fan.
Mm-hmm.
The only time I tune out of on Raw and do not watch it on Monday nights is when the Cowboys are on. The Cowboys.
I mean, I have other times. I won't lie.
See, I see when the Cowboys are. So if there's a pay per view and the Cowboys are on Sunday night, I watch the pay per view on Monday. 'Cause, I mean, wrestling is one of my like passions. I love it. I enjoy it. We wouldn't be doing a podcast if I didn't enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys are like my thing.
Wrestling's a year-round thing. It's just like anything else. My mom used to watch soap operas, but when you film 5 episodes a day for the entire year, you can't watch them all. I watch baseball. It's my passion. I don't watch all 162 games of my favorite team. I don't watch all 140 games of my minor league team.
Wait, you don't?
I don't.
You're so full of it.
I don't even probably watch 110. I mean, that's
What? No way. Every time I've seen you, you've watched. I mean, at least for the local affiliate.
Yeah. I mean,
the Mets, the Syracuse
so
Mets.
I do go to all the games that I can go to, but you're gonna realistically.
Yes, I mean, you get the MILB.
I get minor league baseball package. I get the MLB package.
So you'll be watching the Syracuse Mets. That'll be good.
I probably will be watching them. But either way, like you think about it,
I'm surprised you go to most of the games. I'm surprised you don't. That number, I feel like.
Well, if
I
went to every home game, that's still only 70 games.
Yeah,
and if I went to 30 road games,
but let's say this: say you go to the home game, just the home games. That's half the season. But if you watch half the road games, you go to 3 quarters. You watch 3 quarters of the season.
You think about it. Still watching 120 games is still a lot. I'm just trying to say. You watch 120 games, that's a lot.
Oh, no doubt.
What I'm saying is I still miss 40 games.
As a Red Sox fan, that's what I mean. I'm a big Red Sox fan, but
a hardcore Yankees fan still doesn't watch 30 or 40 Yankees games a year. That's what I'm just trying to say.
I agree.
Because there's so many games. With wrestling, it's on so much that regardless, even if I watch a lot of wrestling and I'm a super fan according to other people, I'm still missing a lot of wrestling.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you on that. There's certain events that, wrestling does take a backseat to.
And when it's not so much, you just it doesn't have that priority.
Yeah.
That's why football is so popular because it's not on so much, so people make a point to watch it.
But wrestling is a priority to a point where
pay-per-views are priority. These are a priority. I don't miss a pay-per-view. I will watch them from start to finish, even if I don't watch them live. That's the only priority. I can miss Raw. I can miss SmackDown on occasion. So that's going to do it for our first segment where we did our social media SmackDown and our Roman Reigns essential recap. If you're listening on the podcast, we're coming back with Evolution predictions. That's the best way. Not results. It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, no results yet.
And if you're watching on YouTube, look out for that video. Brandon Icebreaker Clements, myself, Jared Wicks, and @HeelToTheFace on Twitter. Make sure that's where you find us.